need motivation and inspiration to get you off the couch and boss up? We've got you covered. Welcome to the Build or Destroy podcast. Self-improvement, education, business, relationships, financial literacy, investing, and doing for self. Let's do this. Here's your host, Anthony Barber Jr., aka The Builder.
What's up, good people? It's your boy, The Builder, back with another episode of the Build or Destroy podcast. And in this particular episode, we're going to touch on something that I touched on a little bit earlier, but, we're going to get into it on this one, and that's financial freedom. But we're going to do it from a redefinition, a redefining perspective. So let's get into it. Now, when you look at like financial freedom, right? Like everybody has various, ways of looking at it. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people, look at it like, not having to go work for nobody, right? But it's more to it. It's more to the game than that. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people, they're so desperate to like get out of a shitty job situation, right? But like it's like a dog chasing a car. They don't really know what they would do if they really was in that position. That's why you see people that like hit the lottery, for like millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars. And then next thing you know, like within a year or two, like they're like on the street or like homeless and shit. Like, they make a bunch of useless purchases. They invest. They don't really invest it at all. If they do use the money as far as like investments, like they'll buy a wide assortment of like properties and shit like that they don't even live in. They don't know anything about renting shit out, being a landlord, upkeep, taxes, like. A lot of shit. A lot of people get hit with taxes. Just IRS just chew their ass up. So, it's a really crazy situation. You know what I'm saying? For a lot of people. But like, when you look at stuff like, financial freedom, like we live in a society now where like, especially with like after the pandemic for the last 2 years, like people, the Great Resignation, people realize like, damn, I'm giving up damn near, half of my day, which if you really do the math, you're giving up half of your year. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're giving up half of the whole entire year to like a company, right? You're never going to recoup that. Just like Social Security, like if you start working at like 14, 15 and you work all the way to like, I think like the age is like 67 now, like they probably going to end up pushing that shit to like 70. But anyway, like, let's say you've been working, since you was like, 14, 15 years old, all the way up until you, 67. That's like 50 plus years, like, and you retire at 67. The average age, life expectancy is probably like, 75, 77, 78 at the most, you know what I'm saying? Predicated upon, the shitty American diet. All these chemicals they put in your food, lack of working out, lack of exercise, lack of nutrition. Like, I'm just keeping it a buck, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's easy to eat like shit and live like shit when your body is like young and vigorous and shit like that, and it can easily bounce back. But like a lot of people don't really think about that shit until they get older and their body all fucked up, and they're like, well, how is my body just tearing apart and breaking down like this? It's like, well, you put it through punishment when you was younger and you didn't give a fuck. Like you put your body through the ringer, and now like you paying for it later. You know what I'm saying? So that's why the life expectancy, like they don't expect people to live to be 100. That shit is like rare unless you really on your shit. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't get to see that. Only a lot of the older generation living up into their 80s and 90s, and some of them 100 and shit. Like the young generation, motherfuckers getting colon cancer at like 35, 40. You know what I'm saying? Like Chadwick Boseman, sorry, the dude that played the Black Panther. That's what took him out. He wasn't even like barely into his 40s, man. Colon cancer, boom, took him out. He was a millionaire, but he died at 40, bro. Like he didn't live like a full, like he lived a full. I don't want to say he lived a full life, but like he didn't live like a super long time. Like he died like when he was still in his prime. You know what I'm saying? So like when people say like financial freedom, it's like you got to really get down and decide what that really means to you. You know what I'm saying? Because you got financial, and then you got freedom. Like, okay, so you live in a country, or I like to look at it like an arena, and you basically trying to battle your way out of this arena. Like everybody's a gladiator in their own, miniature arena of life. You know what I'm saying? Like you're a gladiator though. Like you're trying to basically win your freedom. If that's what you own. Like a lot of people are just happy being a gladiator, and they're happy just surviving. As long they get some wins, they get some losses, as long as they don't get their head chopped off, and they get to go back to their cell, at the end of the day, like they're fine. They'll just do it repeatedly. They'll just do it until they can't do it no more, and that's cool. Like that's your choice. But like I'm talking mainly to the people that like have had those thoughts of like, man, I want to get the fuck out this rat race. I want to spend more time with my children. I want to spend more time with my spouse, or fuck all that. Like you might be like a young person, a relatively young person that just like, I got some skills. You might have a skilled trade under your belt. Like you don't realize how flexible you really are. You know what I'm saying? Like how versatile you are with a skill. You know what I'm saying? If you have a skill, you can be a lot more flexible than you think. You don't necessarily have to work for somebody for your whole life. I mean, by all means, get your skill set up. Learn from people that have a more thorough skill set than you. Maybe learn all their tricks and shit like that. But my point is like, if you're gonna work a gig, work a job or career or something, like treat it like espionage. Treat it like spy work. Like your job is to go there, not to just work for this company or this entity or this corporation, but your job is to go there and learn a lot of their tricks, tips, a lot of their methods, a lot of their structures and shit like that, so you can apply it to your own life, apply it to your own business. You know what I'm saying? And then you can get out of their shit, and then you can build your own business. Now, is your business going to be big as Amazon? No, but it can be the Amazon of your life. It can be the McDonald's of your life. It can be the Walmart of your life. The Tesla of your life. Like it ain't about just, because a lot of people, they get hung up on like brands and shit. Like it's almost like playing for the NBA. It's like, oh, I want to work for Tesla. It's like, that's cool. It's like, but like the shit you learn at Tesla you could turn that into something else, to where you're not waking up fighting traffic every day. And then, like I said, if that's your thing, that's cool. But you got to ask yourself this: how long can you do that? And how long are you really going to want to do that at the same? And how long are you going to be able to do that at the same energy level and at the same pace? Because I guarantee you, if you keep it real with yourself, like on that level, you will start, really looking back on and looking at reality from a clear point of view. Because, Michael Jordan is still considered the greatest, but you don't see him playing in the league no more. But he did enough. Like when he was in there, to where people, hold him up as the greatest, and he got his accolades, and people gave him his flowers and shit before he died, and his former teammates, and then people in the league and people playing now, they pay homage or whatever for what he did and all the accomplishments. But the fact of the matter is, the dude is not playing. People are buying his shoes, but this dude is not even playing. He just had an impact. He made an impact, and then he got the fuck out the way when he got old. He got old. The GOAT got old. Magic Johnson got old. Dr. J got old. Larry Bird got old. Like, Like, it don't matter how good you were. Like, eventually, like, your is going to become a was. Your is going to become a was, meaning that whatever you're doing now is the is part, but tomorrow is going to be the was. It's like, well, you was doing this, or you were doing that back in the day, yesterday, yesteryear, yestermonth. Like, you used to be ice cold like this, and now you lost a step. Everybody loses a step. Mike Tyson was on top of the world. He lost a step. Ali lost a step. You get old, man. Like, you cannot fight time. Time is the only thing you can't fight. So my thing is, like, why not fight as hard as you possibly can when you're young and you full of vigor and life, and your imagination is still firing on all cylinders, and you're still willing to be creative, and you're still willing to be experimental with life, and experiment and take a little bit of chances and take a little bit of risk and bet on yourself. Why not do that? You know what I'm saying? And pursue things, with the same vigor, like that. And not necessarily pour all your energy and time into a company or entity that at the end of the day don't give a fuck about you. Case in point, with the pandemic, they gave everybody an ultimatum. I hate to keep drawing on this because I know it's a sensitive subject and a lot of people get triggered, but that's just what it was, man. Like, you can paint it however you want it, but when it came down to business, it was business. They didn't care about how you personally felt. You know what I'm saying? They didn't care about your convictions necessarily. Like, a lot of people were fortunate and they got exemptions, but a vast majority of people didn't. It was just like, you take this shit or you walk the fuck out of here, and we'll just replace you. So if that wasn't blunt enough for people, to get the message, like, look, bro, like, at the end of the day, we gonna keep mashing. The business is gonna be all right. That's how the business is looking at it. The business is like, hey, we gonna be straight. Like, we are a business. We're a machine. We're a well-oiled machine. We can do this with or without you. We'll just hire somebody that can do it, or that's willing to, do what we say. Because at the end of the day, it's what we say. It ain't what you say. It ain't. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about how you feel or what you want to do. Because at the end of the day, you don't own the business. That's what I'm saying. It's all about ownership. You don't own that shit. You just work there. You're just a participant in the game. You don't own the game, though. You don't run the game. You don't make none of the rules. You just, like, at the mercy of the game. And my thing is, like, if you're at the mercy of the game, play the game in its entirety. You know what I'm saying? Like, maximize your investment strategy. Don't just look at stock. And this is for all my stock investors. Like, don't just look at stock like it's the end all be all, bro, because it's not. Remember what I told you, like, it's all about pivoting, being a chameleon, compounding, stacking everything on top of everything. Everything is relatable. So, like, if you run up, 10, 20,000 in the stock market off of $1,000 investment, and you 10x that shit. Okay, now your job is to try to figure out how to repeat that success. So don't treat it like, oh man, I'm up 10,000. Nah, you're up 9,000. So you take 9,000 and then you stash it away for a bigger investment, and then now you take 1,000 off of your winnings, and then you stack it with your initial investment. So now you got 2,000 to play with, whereas before you started with 1,000. So now you got 2,000. Remember, you made 10. So essentially you made 11,000. So let's say it runs up, you make 11,000, you take your first 1,000 off the top, take profit. Boom, you got your $1,000 back. No matter what happens, you got your money back. Let's say it runs up, right? And you make 10 bands off of that. You take 9,000, set it to the side, and you take 1,000, you add it to the other 1,000 of your original money. Now you got $2,000. Don't look at it like, oh, I'm up, I got 10,000 or I got 11,000. No, you don't. Like, because you should be looking at the shit like, man, like, I need to go bigger with this investment. I need to spread my wings a little bit. You got crypto out here. You got NFTs out here. You have land that you can invest in. You have tokenized real estate that you can invest in. You have commercial property that you can invest in, like buy a commercial building and then lease that shit out and have people pay you rent to do business out of there. And if your rent's reasonable, they're going to be there for years. You can lock them into like a 5-year lease, 10-year lease. And now you're getting 10 years of passive income, cash flow coming in. Yeah, it ain't like no big pimping, spending cheese type money, but you fed, your family fed, your bills is paid, and you don't have to fucking call nobody boss. You the boss. You don't have to call nobody boss at the end of the day. You ain't got to clock in nowhere. You ain't got nowhere to be except to check in on your money, check in on your investments, run your errands, make sure your books are straight, learn about, tax havens and learn about how to further protect your money, how to further flip your money. Look into other real estate ventures, multifamily properties, single family properties. I mean, shit, everybody got to start somewhere. You can flip cars. You can have a car dealership. You can rent out vehicles. You can have a car rental service. I mean, it's all types of shit that you can do. And if you're a person with like hobbies and shit, like let's say you make candles as a hobby, and all your friends at your job always love your candles. They always buy your candles. Well, guess what? If people buying your candles on a small scale, now you can just figure out, now you got all the time in the world to figure out how to scale your business up. And now you don't even have to have a brick and mortar. You can sell that shit online. You can literally sell your business and your wares and your hobby stuff and all your arts and crafts, all your cool shit, your paintings. If you're a painter, you might, do music, like, what I'm saying? Like anything, what I'm saying? Like it's tons of ways for you to get it out here now. There's really no excuse. Never before in the history of the United States, at least, have there been so much versatility when it came to like, growing wealth, and from like an average person perspective to growing wealth on that level. Like there's so much opportunity, like for you to, and all you gotta do is grab it. But I get it. Like it's a big fear because it's a big deal. It's like a lot of people don't. I realized a long time ago, a lot of people don't want to be in charge. A lot of people don't want to be the boss, because when you're the boss, everything's your fucking fault. Everything is your fault. Like you got to take on. That's what ownership is. Like you literally taking ownership, whether good or bad. That shit go left, it's your fault. If it go right, it's your fault. But like a lot of people don't want to, have that dark cloud over their head of, man, if I fuck this up, like I fucked it up. I can't blame my manager. I can't say I got a shitty manager and that's why I hate this job. I got a shitty supervisor. That's why I hate this job. I got shitty coworkers. That's why I hate coming in here to this job. My pay, I'm not getting paid enough. That's why I hate this job. It's like, okay, well, create a situation where, you can't make, because those excuses are bogus as hell. Like, it's like, oh, I don't like my boss, that's why I hate this job. It's like, okay, well, fine. Then it sounds like you don't need a boss. Because a lot of your coworkers don't mind having a boss. They don't complain like you. So if you're in the pit of your stomach, you walking around here complaining, even if you ain't saying it out loud, but you feeling pissed off all the time, you frustrated, you stressed out, you got gray hair coming in prematurely, you losing sleep, you fighting traffic, you hate the motherfuckers you work around, you can't stand the shit. Even if you're good at it, it's just maybe you had a passion for it at one time and then it just fell off. It ain't the same. Like, so you outgrew it. A lot of times you outgrow shit and you just don't want to admit it. Like you literally have outgrown that situation, and instead of like taking the shit by the reins and like doing your own thing, you want to sit there and just blame it on everybody else like it's their fault, and it's not. Let me give you a secret right now. Let's say currently, right now, you have a decent job, decent career, right? Let's say you're one of the top type earners in the country. Like, let's say, meaning that you make over 40,000, you make 40 to 50,000 a year. That's pretty decent, pretty good, right? Let's say you're living off of that. You got a car, right? Let's just say for single people, you got a car, You got your own place, whether it be an apartment, condo, townhome, whatever, right? But the fact is, your rent getting paid, right? Remember, you're making 50,000. Keep that in mind. You're making 50, 40, 50,000. You got your own car, you got your own place, and all your bills are paid every month, right? But like I said, you got this dark cloud over your head of this fucking job. You like, man, I hate this job. I hate this job. I hate this job. Can't stand this job. I want to do something else. I want to travel more. I want to work on my own hobbies. I want to work on my music. I want to work on my own shit. I want to do my own thing. I'm just wasting time. Like, that's how you feel, right? Your situation is easy. Easy as fuck. Like, all you have to do is figure out. Now, listen to me on this. All you have to do is figure out how to replicate $50,000 a year. I know it sounds crazy. It's like, well, how the fuck I can't just pull 50 grand on my ass. It's like, no, it's like, but you can create a situation where you can do the math and figure out how to bring in 50K a year. You know what I'm saying? Because think about it, right? Let's say a rental home. Let's say a fourplex, right? Let's say a fourplex. You got to put 20 to 30,000 down on it, and let's say you find a fourplex. I'm just throwing it out here, but let's say you find a fourplex, and it's 300,000. You know, and it's meaning that it's 4 units. Let's say each unit is like 2 bedroom, 1 bath. You know, decent square footage in a decent area. You know, it's upkept or whatever, and it's on the market, right? You gotta put 30K down. That's about 90,000. So now hold that thought, right? You're like, man, how the fuck I'm gonna get 90,000? I ain't got 90,000. I can't just. Oh, you sound crazy. Listen, remember, you're an investor, right? You play the stock market. You play crypto. You know, you do your little thing on the side. You know, you might play options or forex or something. You know how to trade a little bit. You made a couple thousand here and there, but you never really took it seriously. I'm telling you to take it serious. I'm telling you to take it damn serious. Like, if you made 1,000, then that means all you gotta do is make 1,089 more times. And once you make the 1,089 more times, guess what? That's 90,000. You take the 90,000 and you buy yourself a fucking fourplex, and then your rent can be anywhere from, like, you know, especially in this economy, and this is a renter's economy we're entering into, by the way, meaning that a lot more people are going to be renting domiciles instead of trying to buy houses. And a lot of people not trying to get locked into 30-year mortgages and shit. You know why? Because the interest rates are rising every month, every 3-4 months. They're going to be rising. So, like, buying a home ain't gonna really be that appealing. So, but owning one as a landlord is, because people are going to be renting more than ever. This is about to be a renter's economy, where if you're holding property that can be rented out, Airbnb, all that shit, you're gonna be making long green, because a lot of people are gonna be moving from city to city. You'll have a lot of remote workers, a lot of people that want to just be free to move, free to come and go. They don't want to just be locked into a city and have to stay there for years because they got this mortgage hanging over their head. They'll just pay you $1,200 a month, and then when they're ready to bounce and go to New York or go to Dakota, North Dakota, South Carolina, Florida, Texas, wherever the fuck they want to go, you know, on at a drop of a dime, they can do that, and and they can just ride their lease out, pay you your money, and then bounce. And then guess what? As soon as they leave, some other tenant gonna show up and be like, "Hey man, I'm looking for a place. This is nice." And then you interview them, and then you get them up in there, and then your rent keep going, keep flowing, cash flow. Let's say you got a fourplex, right? So you charging, $800 to $1,200 a month. Let's just call it 1,000. That's 4,000. That's 4,000 right there. What's 4,000 times 12 months? That's 48 grand. So let's say, your taxes on the place and all that stuff like that, and that's just to pay the mortgage. Let's just say, like, to cover the mortgage, you gotta charge them $1,000 a month. So for a little extra, you can either go up on the rent annually, meaning like, every year you'll go up on rent like $25 or something. Eventually your rent will end up being like $1,200 a month, and that'll give you your extra, overhead or whatever. But the point is, I just painted a simple example of how you can literally replace your $40,000 to $50,000 salary, as far as like an actual tangible game plan that a lot of people do, and that's financial freedom too. Yeah, you're not big pimping, spending cheese. Yeah, you don't have a private jet. Yeah, you don't have a fucking stupid ass Lambo in your driveway. Yeah, you don't have the bust down presidential Rolex that you can go to the club and get your fucking noodles knocked out your head for wearing it in a neighborhood you ain't got no business in. Yeah. You ain't got none of that bullshit that don't matter at the end of the day. But what you do have is fucking freedom. Freedom of movement. You don't have nowhere to be. You can call your own shots. You can schedule your own day. You can go to sleep when you want, wake up when you want. You ain't got nobody to answer to. And to me, if you're asking me, that's way more valuable than a piece of fucking jewelry or a fucking car, okay? Because a person that can move around whenever they want, however they want, is way more in control of their life than somebody that's just simply riding around being flashy, looking like they got it, as opposed to the person that got it for real. You know what I'm saying? And that's just one scenario. So when it comes to like redefining it, we got to redefine what financial freedom look like. You know what I'm saying? It ain't a Lambo, man. That shit is status. It's a status symbol. But like, who you showing off for? At the end of the day, bro, it's all about survival out here. It's all about being able to eat, being able to feed yourself, feed your family, and truly pursue and do what you want to do as a human being before your fucking clock get punched. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to be a lot older than you are younger. Your runway is hella long, but best believe you want to, be at a certain age, at a certain day and be comfortable. You don't want to have to still be like dragging your ass out of bed, at 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, still calling somebody boss, still dressing in somebody else's uniform, still following policies and procedures and rules that you didn't even create. And it's bullshit at the end of the day, but you doing it for like you trading time for money. No, man. Like that's just a level. Like, you go from being fucking broke, being a teenager, not having no money, then you get into the workforce and then you're trading time for money. But what you're really trading is energy, your life force. You're giving up your whole life force to this beast, to this entity, to this machine that's just there to grind your ass up. You know what I'm saying? And you don't really see it that way. You looking at it like, oh, it's just, it's a career and it's prestigious. What's prestigious about giving somebody your life, man? That ain't prestigious. That's nothing to be like overly vocal about, bro, because you work for some other person. Like, bro, the person that is like, yeah, I worked for such and such. And you hear it all the time. A lawyer leave a law firm. He's making like 6 figures a year. And he's like, no. He or she is like, no, I left to pursue this, to pursue real estate. Or I left to pursue business. And it was the best decision of my life. And it's like, and then some people out here eating top ramen like, man, that's stupid. I wouldn't have never left that job. It's like, yeah, because that's your mentality, bro. Instead of looking at that top ramen bowl and just looking at it like food, you looking at it like it's like a struggle meal. It ain't a struggle meal, bro. Like, I ate top ramen. I ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for a year fucking straight, like out of high school and shit, working and shit. I ain't had no fucking money. I ain't had a J's. Like, chicks wasn't checking for me. Like, I ain't give a fuck about none of that shit either, though, because I was trying to get my paper. I was trying to figure out a game plan out of this shit, out of that bullshit. Like, I never liked the thought of just working for somebody else. I never did. Like, it was a necessary evil, though. Like, it's shit you gotta do when you gotta do it. You only know what you know. Like, went back to college, bust my ass, got my credentials up, went to aviation school, got my license, yada, 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 yada. That's good and shit. But like, bro, like, I have other dreams, I have other goals, I have other aspirations besides all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And we still live in a nation where you can go from, poor to prince in a short time span if you're willing to grind and outthink you. America is so beautiful because this is the only nation where like a thought can make you rich. A thought. A thought can make you rich. A good idea can make you rich. A game plan can make you rich. A strategy can make you rich. And not rich like just for the sake of like, oh, I got money, man. I got money and you don't. No, it's being, you should want to be rich. You should want to have enough to where like when catastrophe strikes, you're not in the corner turtled up crying. That's what rich is. Rich is like when your kid is like, I want to do something like beneficial. Not necessarily buying them toys and bullshit like that, but like, Dad, I want to do karate, or Dad, I want to do, piano lessons, or I want to, take dance lessons, or I want to, all that shit costs money, man. All that cool shit that elevates a child later in life, and, different trainings and specialized training and martial arts training and boxing training and ballet, and that shit costs bread, okay? That costs money. You have to pay a teacher to teach shit. They ain't gonna do it for free. You know what I'm saying? People not walking around here just like all saintly like that, just giving freely of themselves like that. Like, you have to pay to play, man. Like, and that's fair. And that's more than fair. So you should be a willing participant in that and be like, you know what, that is fair. I should be able to pay this person their money so they can, teach my kid this cool shit. So my kid can learn how to skateboard. So I don't have to worry about, man, I can't do that, and I can't, and keep. Why'd you bring them here? Why they born if they, they can't ask you for a request, if they can't request shit of you? You know what I'm saying? Like, you the parent, like, you brought them here. Like, what the fuck you bring them here to stare at them all day? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's another thing. It's like, man, what you doing it for? Oh man, I'm working for my kids. It's like, bro, let's say you didn't have a kid. You saying you wouldn't work? Okay then. Like, come on, bro. Like, that ain't no excuse either. Like, they not a burden. Kids ain't a burden. Like, they're a blessing. Like, don't treat them like a burden. Like, oh, I'm busting my ass at this job I hate because of you. It's like, bro, that's what it sounds like to a kid. It's like, what? Why is daddy not home? Why is mommy not home? Oh, I gotta go work. It's like, and the kid don't give a fuck about. They're like, why though? Why? How come we can't hang? How come we can't do this? How come I can't see you when I want to see you? And oh, that's not life. It's like, why can't it be though? It might not be life right now, but if you outthink this fucking situation you in, it can be inside of, a couple months or a couple years, depending on what type of hustle you got about you, what type of grind you got about yourself. And I'm not browbeating nobody, man. Like, I'm just giving perspective. Like I said, listen to the podcast, listen to the episode. I'm really just trying to help and spark people and get you to think outside of your box, man, because it's out here for you if you really want it. You know what I'm saying? Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Build or Destroy podcast with your host, Anthony Barber Jr., aka The Builder. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into all the tips and tricks you can use to boss your life up. If you're interested in expanding your mind and reaching your definition of freedom and how these ideas and views can be applied in the real world, tap in with us next week. As always, you can head over to www.builderslsb.com to cop some motivation, dope merch, and sign up to our email list. And don't forget to check out all the links and resources in the show notes. That's all for this episode, folks. And as always, boss up instead of laying down.